Lesotho is a country often underrepresented in the global music conversations, yet it's rich in rhythm, in tradition, and in emerging talent such as Ntatestana. While it's known for its vibrant blend of Afro-pop, contemporary fusion sounds, Lesotho's music scene is grounded in storytelling, resistance, and in celebration. And this year marks a major cultural milestone for Lesotho's music scene. It's the 10th edition of the Lesotho Spring Music Conference that's currently taking place today in Lesotho all the way until the 27th of September at the State Library in Maseru. Established all the way in 2015, we're unpacking this year's theme, which is 10 years of building knowledge, systems, and opportunities in music. The founder of this incredible event, Sechaba, Sir Sechaba Mokoqo, is joining us on the line. He's also the conference curator of this year's Lesotho Spring Music Conference. Thank you so much, Chaba, for joining us. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Palesa. How are you?
I'm good. I've been looking at you on the live stream and see you jamming to this one by Ntatestana.
Coincidentally, what happens is I'm actually one of the early contributors in his talent. I'm one of the people that actually built his career to what he is today.
Nice. I love that. I
It's
think
actually
that,
a problem.
yeah, that actually speaks to the fact that you have always been very passionate about music, but moreover, passionate about building the music and the artists of people in Lesotho. Speak to me a little bit about this passion.
And it's funny and amazing that I'm actually an electrical technologist by the practice.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, actually having grown up and worked in South Africa, music overtook everything else. I decided to, you know what, I need to drop this electrical engineering thing and actually focus to where I think my heart is at, where my passion is at, where I can actually have a direct impact on imparting the knowledge to the, I would say, a non-established industry in the country, because a lot of people really didn't know exactly, especially when we talk the music business side, people were just there. Talent has always been in abundance in Lesotho, but now the problem has always came where people don't understand the dynamics actually of the music business side of things. So this is when I decided to come back home to Lesotho and at least establish something, close that gap where now we need to understand what people have to understand as far as the business aspect of the music is concerned.
Yeah.
Because it does not only take talent to make a living out of it, you also need to understand other aspects that comes as a package of the music industry.
Yeah. It's been 10 years since you established the Lesotho Spring Music Conference. In this 10 years, how have you seen the music industry in Lesotho evolve and grow?
It has really been one of the life changing moments, because in all fairness, when we started in 2015, nobody knew about anyone in Lesotho except for Sankomota and probably Nepisile
Yeah.
and and these are very old artists. These are artists that were in the 80s and stuff like that. So when it came to the modern history of music, we really didn't have the music people that are out there. And one other thing that really helped me a lot is that I understood that as much as we are relying heavily on the South African influence, but the aspect that we brought to the table is that we have our own different identity. You know what I mean? So I needed to study what trends and what was going on in South Africa, and you would definitely see the pattern that there was a point that Mokoqo was there. There was a time when Venda was there. Obviously Zulu and Xhosa, since they are the predominant languages in South Africa, they have always been there. They had a very rich history in terms of music, as far as music is concerned. But now we needed that element of bringing a Sesotho content into the South African context, or at least the regional space. So this is really something that really pushed me so hard to say, now we need to work hard to not only have the superstars out there, but also establish the infrastructure, systems, policies that will guide that. Because it is also important that now that the world knows about the language Sesotho and a lot of music that we have, because now we have a lot of superstars. We had Malume Vector, we have Ndatestana, we have Wave Rider, now the latest sensation, Sanere, you know what I mean? So this says a whole lot of influx of people that are singing in Sesotho into the industry, which now the industry or the people of the Southern Africa have been waiting for. And this is why now we have this huge reception that we are seeing today as far as the Sesotho music is concerned.
Yeah, Sechaba, let's talk a little bit about that collaboration between, the Lesotho music industry and the one in South Africa. Were those linkages important for you?
Yeah, oh, definitely they are. They are, because the one thing that you cannot deny is that South Africa obviously has the biggest influence in the region. And remember, they also had the biggest platforms in terms of radio, TV, and all that, and the systems that have properly organized organizations. So obviously, once you have made a star that can actually get into the South African ecosystem, now it becomes easier for us to infiltrate back into our country.
So, Sechaba, we're going to see if we can sort out that line, because I hear a crackling sound there, and there's an interruption in the audio. We'll see if we can sort that out. Anyway, we're about to go to our break, but when we come back, we'll speak on that linkage between South Africa and Lesotho and why it was important for you to see the collaborative possibilities there. Let's take a break and then we'll be back.
Kabla ya kwenda mbali zaidi na zaidi, tuanze kwanza kwenye background yako, maana kila kazi, kila jambo linakuwa na historia yake. Riziki Alema ni nani?
Riziki Alema ni mwimbaji wa nyimbo za Injili, ni mama na ni mke pia.
Umesema wewe ni mama wa familia pia. Vipi unagawa muda wako namna gani kwenye masuala ya muziki na majukumu ya familia?
Okay, cha kwanza sio jambo rahisi, lakini anaweza sema upande mwingine ni rahisi kama utakuwa umejitambua. Kwa sababu mbaya ni ile kuchukua masuala ya masaa ya kazi na masaa ya familia na masaa ya huduma. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri tu mimi huwa natenganisha. Nikiwa ndani sio Riziki Alema, sio mwimbaji. Nikiwa ndani najua mimi ni mke na ni mama pia.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Hey, you are right here on the move with our Friday edition of the show, and we really get nerdy about the music industry in Africa because it's so exciting indeed. I want to thank everyone who's joining us on our live stream. I see everyone is waking up all of a sudden. Thank you, Garakai there, Beaton, I see you, Shamin, thank you, Jameson, Stanley, Dadirai, Rafiq, thank you all of you for coming into our live stream. We're having a conversation about Lesotho's music industry because the 10th edition of the Lesotho Spring Music Conference is taking place from today and is going to be wrapped up on Sunday at the State Library in Maseru. And we have Sechaba, who is the conference curator, and we're speaking about the possibilities of the Lesotho industry. We're seeing a popping of many Lesotho musicians that are actually coming out and asserting their name and lifting that Lesotho flag high. Sir Sechaba, you were speaking about those linkages and why they're important. I think it's such an important thing because as a region we have so much potential, but you can expand on what you wanted to say.
Yeah, I was actually saying that it is important that South Africa as now the centerpiece of the music industry in the region, of course, from the structures, the infrastructure, the systems they have, we are ought to be copying from them so that we at least implement the standards. Because one other important thing that also our conferences touches on is trying to standardize the musical practices across the region. This is why now we start having relationships with all the other conferences that are taking place across the region. So South Africa plays that pivotal role because, of course, they've got around 56 million people, and Lesotho only has 2 million. So you know what I mean? When you have somebody who can now tap into those numbers,
Absolutely.
it now starts making sense, even financially. Yes.
Let's talk about the music in itself in Lesotho. Maybe many of us are thinking about the genres themselves in Lesotho, and maybe we're not aware of them. Like you highlighted, we know Sankomota, they were a huge hit here in South Africa. But what about the other forms of genres in your country that maybe you think these things can be exported? This music can become more profiled in other parts of the world. What's your opinion of that?
I actually think we have more popular traditional sound. It's called Famo. This is actually the core and the heart of what Basotho music entails. And it is actually funny that a lot of people now that you see the younger generation, your Stanas and your Sanneras coming out, they think actually Basotho are big in hip hop. No, there's a traditional music which is called Famo. It's a accordion based kind of music, and that is what is big. It also has one of the biggest followers in terms of people that buy their music, because since they are still a little bit laid back, they are still selling the physical copies. They are not really into the digital space as we know the world today. This is why maybe people really don't know. So this is why we are saying through the conference, now we are trying to amalgamate those ones that are in the olden era to bring them to where we are today. Because now, obviously, if now we are starting to speak technological terms, as well as where technology is taking us, we need to bring them to the fore, so that this is one of the biggest exports that we can have musically as a country.
So in the 10 years that you've had this conference, I mean, that is a big milestone to carry a conference for so long, but also 10 years is a big milestone to hold anything, especially when it comes to the fickle nature of the music industry. What is it? What's the message that you're trying to put across in this year's Lesotho Spring Music Conference?
I think I've been overwhelmed by emotions, in all fairness, because when you look at the journey itself from where we started to where we are today, and of course with what we are learning on a daily basis, as far as other spaces are concerned, we are more on the note that knowledge is power. So basically the theme that we are carrying around this year is that knowledge is power, so that people must be equipped. Artists must be equipped. You know, that element that people would always tell you that they are only focusing about making money, gigging, and stuff like that. It is also important because now when you look at other things that are happening in the region, where you find people complaining about being robbed and stuff like that. So we're saying to all the artists, it is also important, it is equally important to focus and also learn what happens behind the scenes, not only where you are going into studio recording and putting out work out there, but also empower yourself. So knowledge is power is basically the theme for the 10th year, the milestone, as we are now saying, now we have broken ground. We are now where people know that there are artists in Lesotho, because I think in the past people only thought about horses and blankets and but today people that know that there's music, there's actually a proper hip hop, there's Sotho hip hop, there's Famo, there's all those other things, but all those things are easier propelled when there's knowledge. So knowledge is that one element that takes us through.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be quite a successful year and many years, of course, ahead of learning and growing as the Lesotho music industry. Let's speak a little bit about the collaborative effort between the young and the old because, you spoke about there's a huge calling for that traditional music of the Basotho people that's always, been at the foothold of music, the music industry there in Lesotho with all the young people also coming in. Are you seeing more of them trying to come together and collaborate, especially through platforms like yours that you offer?
It hasn't really been as big as we would wish, but as you alluded, that through the platform that we have really tried to open up the other avenues where we start encouraging them collaborating from here at home. And also the conference itself, it's multifaceted in a sense that we also have another component of the cultural exchange program. So which is whereby now we're saying those older generation, we need to also bring them into the now by engaging them in that cultural exchange programs with the other memorandum of understandings that we have with other conferences across the board.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Tell us a little bit about the finer details of the conference. Who can join it in Lesotho? Are people still welcome to be part of it?
Yeah, it's a free conference, man. It's a free conference. Everybody's welcome. So we are at, as you said, the State Library in Maseru. So we will be there today and tomorrow we'll be having showcases. And as I mentioned earlier, the international exchange program, we have artists that are coming from Zimbabwe, Zambia, KZN, Joburg,
Nice.
and Bloemfontein. So this is basically what we are saying when you say this is not just about Basotho, but it's also about trying to connecting the dots and making sure that all the region now comes together and work uniformly so that the benefits that are here in Lesotho can also go to that person in Zambia or Zimbabwe, Malawi, Botswana, and all the other countries that are in the neighborhood.
Well, thank you so much, Sechaba. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I mean, continue the good work and all the best for this year's conference. That is the 10th edition of the Lesotho Spring Music Conference, currently taking place in Maseru, Lesotho. Sechaba Mokoqo is the conference curator and founder of this amazing
Thank you so
conference.
much, Palesa and Benjamin. Guys, have a very good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good one as well.